greatest video game developer, most anticipated video game of 2015, best video game soundtrack. All these questions and more are going to be answered right now on Gamer Brawl. Hello, folks. Welcome to Hole 5's Gamer Brawl. I'm your host, Connor, and thanks for stopping by. What is Gamer Brawl, and how does it work? Well, Gamer Brawl is a show where we debate video games. We invite 3 gamers onto our show, and then have them debate video game questions. Each round, I will ask a question. Each gamer will give an answer and a brief explanation as to why. Then, I will let them duke it out. When I feel the battle has run its course, I will pick a winner. Each question you win will get you 1 point. The main event will gain you 3 points. Whomever has the most points at the end wins. Now, let's introduce our gamers. The man with over 900 hours clocked in Civ. He is the PlayStation fanboy, Fanta Boy, Andrew.
Hey there, guys. How's it going?
He is our resident king of Smash, the one and only Kalen.
What's Gucci, baby?
And if Kalen is the king, he is the prince, the one and only Neil.
Why am I last?
No one likes you. Alright, folks, you guys understand how the game works?
Oui, oui, mon frère.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go on to our first question, which is, what is the best platformer? Kalen, we'll start with you.
Alright, well, personally, I'd have to say the best platformer. I completely forgot what I said. Whoops.
Alright, we'll go on to Andrew. Andrew, best platformer.
All right. Well, personally, I'm going with Sonic the Hedgehog. The reason why I chose Sonic the Hedgehog is because personally, I feel like it is the only franchise that's actually been able to give Mario a run for his money in terms of popularity. Seeing as well, that was his main purpose being created, was being the competition for Mario. So, throughout the years, we've seen some. I'm not going to lie. In the past 10 years, we've probably seen some awful Sonic games. But
That's true.
Prior to that, you have a lot of quality, and we can't ignore the fact that the first 3 Sonic the Hedgehog games are some of the best games in gaming history. Like they've proven to stand the test of time, and they're challenging and at the same time fun for kids of all ages. And
All right. Neil, best platformer.
Alright. Obviously, we're rolling with Donkey Kong Country, and I'm going to tell you right now why. The best of all of the platform worlds come together in Donkey Kong Country. The music is great. It's fast-paced like Sonic. The levels get harder and harder at the perfect, increments. There's lots of collectibles. There's 5 different companions, not just a Yoshi reskin. And there's 2 different characters to play as. The controls are tight. The 3D models are awesome. Obviously, the nostalgia factor. And the game doesn't play itself like Sonic does. You can fucking hold right and just go with Sonic. There's some things with Donkey Kong, you just can't do that with DK.
Alright, very interesting. Back to you, Kalen. What is your best platformer?
Alright, I'm going to have to go with Yoshi's Island. Personally, I think it's my favorite just because not only are you worrying about yourself as you go through, you actually have to worry about Baby Mario every time you get hit by an enemy, so he's floating off. So that's not only do you have to get to the end of the game and find Baby Luigi, throughout there's always that level of danger, because every time you get hit, you always have to you have to get it back, and he's always flying all about the screen and things like that. The gameplay itself was fun. The soundtrack was amazing. All around, I think it's probably my favorite out of the Super Mario World trilogy, the second one. So I think it really set the tone.
Very well. Well, gentlemen, prove each other why they're wrong. If that made sense.
All right. Well, I'll take the heat on this one. I'm not gonna disagree. With Donkey Kong Country, you have some very impressive graphics for the time of its release. However, I find that the game is honestly super boring. It's just it was cool for its time.
Hey, man.
However,
fuck
I
you.
find that Sonic the Hedgehog delivers what fans want most, and that is a rockin' hedgehog that loves his chili dogs.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Right now. It might be boring for you, but at the end of the day in Sonic, all you're doing is holding right. Like, you don't have to do shit in that game. It basically plays itself. It might as well be on rails, and that's why all the new ones are on rails.
Nice.
Yeah. There's some extreme timing you need in Donkey Kong Country, especially with the barrel jumps. I never played Yoshi's Island, but all of the Mario games feel really slow, like really slow paced for me. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to say, but that was a pretty low blow with the boring part. But
Shit. Okay.
no
First
one
off,
oh, sorry.
no, that's okay. I was just saying. First off, slow paced. I don't know about that. Maybe okay. It's more so not even slow paced, or it's the fact that you have to be aware of everything that's going on around you, because like as soon as you leave or Baby Mario like leaves you, like that's all you got to do, or else like you're done for that level. Like, you know, you lose a life. So like I wouldn't say I don't know. I wouldn't say slow pace. You gotta just go for it, dude. I don't know.
Okay, I've heard a lot of rips on Andrew's choice, but I've heard no one picking on Neil's choice. Galen, Andrew, can you give me some reason as to why your game is better than his?
Andrew literally just called it boring.
Well, I need more
Yeah.
than that.
He said it's not fast enough.
I personally think that the game is slow paced, and I think that what you're not acknowledging is just what Sonic the Hedgehog brought to the table was a very fast pace, and you cannot say that the game is linear. Every platformer in a way is linear, especially if we're talking classic gaming. But if you look at Sonic the Hedgehog for 1991, it was a very impressive game. Like, you know, coming out 3 years prior to Donkey Kong Country, the sheer level design alone is far, like, it holds up to the standards of Donkey Kong Country, if not blows them out of the water, and it came out before Donkey Kong Country. I do not see how it is. Plus it delivers the ring mechanic. You have a ring mechanic, which is something that has never been seen before in gaming. It is a completely different way of not even just judging health, but also just adds a whole new fun twist to the game.
Okay, just wait.
What's the ring mechanic for?
The ring mechanic, you collect rings and they count as your health. If you run out of rings, you die. You die. And actually, okay, when did fucking the original Mario Kart come out? Because it has that same mechanic with coins.
No, but it's a little different. You don't like.
You run out of coins and you spin
slows
out.
you down.
No, you spin out, and you lose the race. Pretty.
And
Okay.
okay, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off there. Along with the Sonic's quality may have gone down in the long run, but we're talking old school here, and you know, if actually, you know what, I'm gonna talk about recent years here. Even though that the Sonic quality has gone down, we still have Sonic Generations, which is a pretty good game. Like the game itself is quite solid. It's personally, I think it's a little bit misunderstood for its time, and and it's the fact that Sonic the Hedgehog is still releasing games where Donkey Kong Country just kind of stopped.
Dude, they just put out Tropical Freeze. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
They did, and they also
Donkey Kong
re-released the
Country
original
Returns.
one. Yeah.
Stop my ass. Also,
Well, I find Sonic
Well, let's
Generations.
look at him.
I'm sorry, Neil. I'm kind
Oh,
of
it's
offending
okay.
you here. Sonic Generations. Okay. The gameplay, sure. I thought the gameplay was fun. I love the mix between classic and new Sonic, but look, that storyline was absolute garbage. That everything that like made you love Sonic, they took and they just fucking pissed on it. Because oh my god. Okay, the final boss, Epic Mickey. What the fuck? It was literally the same boss from Epic Mickey. And the whole boss fight, you just held down X. You held down X, maybe you press Y, and then you hold X some more.
Caleb, do I even have to bring up the latest release in the beautiful... Apple releases Sonic Boom, do I even have to bring that game up?
Oh.
That game looks worse than fucking Ratchet and Clank.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
Game looks worse than a PS2 fucking game.
gentlemen. Okay, I'm stuck between two games here. Deutsch, you clearly lost this. Sorry.
But we're not talking about the new.
but-
I'm sorry, we're not talking about the new ones.
I need to ask you guys a question. Andrew?
No, just wait. No, just wait. No. But we're not talking. Kaylin's right. We're
I'm
not.
not done with Sonic.
No, we're not. Kaylin's right. We're not talking about the new ones. We're talking about the old ones. The level design would be awesome if all you didn't have to do is hold right, and like or hold left, or like jump occasionally. Like the level basically plays itself, and that's the
Okay,
exact same from the
I'm
old
going to
one.
interrupt you guys. Andrew?
Hmm.
Taking yourself out of this equation,
Okay.
which game would you play? Donkey Kong Country or the Yoshi's Island?
I'm gonna have to go with Donkey Kong Country.
Okay. Kaylin, excluding your answer, which one did you play? Sonic or Donkey Kong Country?
Between the two, I don't know. That's a hard one because I love them both. But I grew up with Donkey Kong Country, not Sonic, or at least the old Sonics, anyways. So
Neil?
probably gonna go with Donkey Kong Country.
Which one would you choose?
Definitely definitely Yoshi's Island. Definitely. If I had a chance, if I actually had the game, I would have played it. But
Well, screw you guys then. Jeez.
Do you guys have any final things you want to say before I give my answer?
I just want to say, Sonic the Hedgehog. The old ones were fun.
You know, why are we just ragging on me here?
No. I'm not wrecking you. I'm just saying the old ones were fun. And Neil, I was gonna say, like, yeah, you hold right or left in any side scroller, so you
Okay.
can't even like
no,
bang,
but
you know, on it
there's
for that.
there's a difference though. Like you
Not
hold.
really.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, most platformers are pretty much the same. It's when they add that kind of extra mechanic to it that really changes it. Sonic the Hedgehog, it was its
Fair.
speed and its
Fair.
enemies.
You don't hold
What?
right. You don't hold right in Donkey Kong Country because there's entire levels where
Oh,
you're
shit.
in barrel.
Let Kaylin
Yeah, well,
finish
Donkey
his point.
Kong. Oh, Donkey Kong Country. The great thing about that is that you had Diddy and Donkey Kong. They both did different things, and it was all about reaction time. It was a lot of fun. Like I said earlier, Yoshi's Story. You have something to protect throughout the whole level. It's not just you jumping off a cliff this time. It's you having to pay attention more so to the things around you as it is just running through and jumping and this and that. Yeah, I don't know. Each thing has its thing that's great, but I don't know. Personally, Yoshi's Story is just a favorite of mine. Granted, one thing I can say is that they didn't make a remake for Sonic the Hedgehog on Game Boy. So, or any sort of handheld system, unless you include Sonic Advance, but we're talking about the old ones now, aren't we?
Neil, any final closing thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Andrew, you held up very well, I'm going to say. But they all brought some good points out. And Neil and Kellen, it was very, very close. But Neil pulled out some very good shots on you guys. I mean, Neil right off the bat with I have played Sonic, and I do agree with Neil. You have to just hold right and you win the game. There's nothing else to it. So I'm going to have to give it to Neil. You held up your own Deutsch. I'll give you kudos on that because they were riding you hard there. Let's move on to the next question. The worst handheld console of all time. We're gonna start with Kaylin.
Oh, baby. Lord knows. I'm gonna have to say the Gizmondo, everyone's favorite handheld console that no one has actually ever heard of. I believe it was to compete with Nokia's handheld console. Yeah,
That is correct.
another one that no one's heard of, and it did even worse than Nokia's. So, you know.
Okay. I'm gonna side with Kalen on just for a second. The Gizmondo was released with literally one game.
All right.
Only one game.
Andrew, what is your debate for the worst handheld?
Personally, I'm gonna have to go with the Game Boy Micro. The system was released in 2005 as being a little pocket device that you could carry around and play a couple games on. Personally, I never owned one. This is all based on research. But until the last unit was sold, which was in 2007, only 2 million of them were actually 2.4 million of them were actually sold, and that's from 2005 to 2007. That's in a 2-year span. And if you think that 2 million is a lot, then you have another thing coming, especially in the world of consoles. I mean, you have, you're competing with, for example, the PlayStation 2, which sold.
It's a handheld. It's not competing with PS2.
Okay, sorry. So a better example would be the Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah.
Yes.
Neil?
Okay. The obvious answer here is the 2DS. It is the definition of useless. The best part about the new handhelds from Nintendo was the fact that they folded to make you could have a huge screen and still fit it in your pocket. That's why the Game Boy SP is one of the best handhelds. All right, the Game Boy Advance SP, and they took away the already optional 3D on the 3DS and made this. It looks like a fucking tablet.
It's a doorstop. Let's be honest here. It's a doorstop.
Really, it's ridiculously huge. You can't bring it in your pocket. You have to have like a backpack, right? Like it's an unnecessary money grab almost. Really, it's what it seems like is a money grab.
Gentlemen, start fighting each other.
Yeah,
Okay.
but there was a point to the 2DS here.
Let Kalen go first. He was talking.
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so Gizmondo. So it was made by Tiger Telematics. Yeah. I don't even know where to go for this. Okay. This is.
Caleb, let me argue for you. Okay, all right.
No, trust me. It was released with only one game in the UK, and it was called Trailblazer. Now, I've never actually played it, but I can only assume it's garbage. It was actually supposed to have an 8 additional, and I think 6 were released only in Europe, but it flopped real bad. Like it was a fucking mess.
Neil?
Here's the problem with the Gizmondo. Nobody fucking owned one. Nobody knows what it is, and nobody has ever played it. While it may be statistically the worst of all time, like I had no idea the Gizmondo was even a thing until you told me about it. The 2DS was like it was a projected they pumped shit into the 2DS. Like they put money into that. I don't even know how well it sold, and frankly, it doesn't even matter. It's like completely unnecessary in the Nintendo. And Andrew, what was yours? The Game Boy Micro?
Yeah.
It's same argument as for the Gizmondo. I've never even heard of it. I didn't even know it was a thing. I can't imagine a lot of people actually bought that.
Andrew?
They pumped tons. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the problem. Okay, but the thing with the 2DS though was
they did pump. They put a lot of advertising.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. They put a lot of advertisement into the 2DS, but the thing is, it was also aimed at younger audiences, especially small kids. No, I'm talking about the 2DS here.
They pumped Mondo.
Oh yeah.
Actually, my point on advertising is pretty worthless. Actually, now that I think about it.
But sorry, but anyway.
The Gizmondo was.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me make my point here. See, the thing is that with the 2DS, it was aimed at younger kids. It was aimed at kids who were younger. So, like, for a kid who's holding a 3DS, but personally from owning one, if I were to drop it, I'd be afraid of breaking it. Whereas with the 2DS, it's a little bit more durable and it has a little bit more roughness, or it has a bit more of a rugby feel to it. And also, it's a lot cheaper too. So for people who aren't going to be doing too much, hardcore gaming, or people who people who just want to get something for their kids that's affordable, the 2DS is the way to go. You're not going to go for the 3DS, which is a over $200 system. You're going to want to go with the cheaper alternative, which is $129, which I think is pretty decent, especially if you're going to be getting a console for a kid who's 5 years old. Because personally, I remember when I was 5 years old and I had my Game Boy Advance. Like that's just
See, I'm granted that does suck dick, but the Gizmondo in the U.S. the retail price was $400.
Yeah.
$400.
Holy
Granted, this had Bluetooth, it had a camera, it had text, a GPS, it had all that, and it was great. But they only sold fewer than 2,500 as of the 30th of July in 2007, and it was discontinued in 2006 in February. So, yeah, why would you pay $400? And oh, trust me, they pumped advertising into this. They pumped advertising nonstop. I think
There was a NASCAR
they sponsored
driver.
people.
Yeah.
They sponsored Ferrari.
Yeah, they actually sponsored Ferrari for the Le Mans 24-hour race.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am dead serious.
Oof. Well, I know that.
Nothing I could say to that.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I know
Yeah,
that.
you're paying $400.
I know that with the Game Boy Micro, it had a $99 price tag, and it could fit in the palm of your hand. Like it was a tiny system.
So it's kind of like a Tamagotchi.
If you think about it, okay, think about it as a mini Game and Watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can play Game Boy games on it. Like you were able to play Game Boy games on it. You can the predecessor to it was the Game Boy SP. It was supposed to be so you think about how the 2DS is to the 3DS. The Game Boy Micro was supposed to be that to the SP.
Okay.
Yeah. And the Game Boy so the Game Boy Micro was it was aimed at, people who younger people who couldn't afford the Game Boy SP, because the Game Boy SP was quite a bit more expensive. But yeah, no, that's it with the Game Boy Micro. But they,
Gentlemen, I think I've come up with my decision. Do you have any closing arguments?
No.
The best-selling game for the Gizmondo was fucking Sticky Balls. You know the game that you play when you were 5 on like those little flash arcade games where you kind of shoot and you gotta get like 3 greens
Yeah.
and you get points? That is the best-selling game.
All right.
Out of the 8 games that were there, Sticky Balls kind of raised among the rest.
Andrew, any final thoughts?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Andrew, I'm impressed to the fact that you've actually sold me on buying a 2DS now, because of all the points you raised. It's like, I actually want a 2DS now. So Andrew's convinced me to buy a 2DS, which in my books means 2DS sounds pretty good. So you definitely lost this, Neil.
I'm okay with losing it. I want to no, just wait. I want to know why you want to buy a 2DS.
Because it's more durable. I'm a
It's
DS,
not more
so
durable. It really isn't. It's just bigger.
You didn't fight him on it that hard, and the price tag also sold me as well. That being said, Andrew, the Game Boy Micro does sound very cheap and doesn't sound that bad, and the Game & Watch idea sounds very cool, whereas the Gizmondo is overpriced garbage at the end of the day.
This is
That
true.
is terrible.
I think we can all agree. Like I was.
You had a chance there, but Gizmondo, every hit at the Gizmondo was like, even Neil's attempt to say they didn't put a lot of money into it. They did put a lot of money into it, so I'm gonna have to give it to the Gizmondo. Kalen, you get a point.
Yeah, no.
All right. The next question: the best video game soundtrack. I'll let you start off this one, Kalen.
What the fuck? He started last
Yeah,
time.
exactly. You want me to start then Kalen? Get Neil too, man. Like
It's because he's
I
racist.
go Kalen, Andrew, Neil. That's how it goes.
Okay, but I haven't started one.
yeah, I already started.
Did you start? No,
Yeah.
that's because Kalen messed up.
I still let Neil start.
What? Neil,
Guys,
you may start.
Save it for Gamer Brawl. The best one is Legend of Zelda, in my opinion.
I
Sorry,
said Neil
Neil.
was going to start.
I didn't
Quiet.
want to start anyway. All right,
Neil, go ahead and start.
we're rocking that DK. I'm sorry, I unplugged my mic. We're rocking that. We're rocking that DK country music. The problem with this really is his personal opinion. Zelda has great soundtrack, awesome soundtrack. And here's the thing, there isn't a fucking good game on the market where the music doesn't amplify the atmosphere. The music in DK Country, the cave sounds, you can hear like water dropping in the background, like it's catchy, it's fast paced. The problem is that it's fucking music. Like I love it, and I have listened to the soundtrack just playing games, like, and I will obviously more, but yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
For me, Legend of Zelda, it's pretty cliche, honestly, but there's not a lot of video games where orchestras actually tour just to play their music and sell out concerts. And Legend of Zelda is probably the video game for that specifically, as well as it's a game that everybody knows. And you can sing. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank here. The forest theme, like the
Serious?
Lost Woods. Yeah, sorry, a song, Lost Woods. And almost everybody's gonna know exactly, like, oh, I know that tune, whatever, right? Like, even people who haven't played the game. Same with Song of Storms. It's one of those things.
All right, Andrew?
I'm going with the Halo Combat Evolved soundtrack. The very first one here, and the reason why is because it's Halo Combat Evolved was really the birth of first-person shooters in the sense where it brought a new light to them, and the soundtrack is is no exception to that. Every single component of that soundtrack is absolutely spectacular. You have an ambiance with you the entire time. It keeps you interested with the game. Plus, it really brings out the emotion in the game. So when a favorite character of yours dies, there is no point where the soundtrack just does not add to the emotion that comes out.
But do you have a song called Aquatic Ambience?
No, I have a song called Ambient. No, I have a song called Ambient Wonder though.
Let's talk about Aquatic Ambience for a second. Motherfucking Childish Gambino raps over it.
Yeah.
A mainstream rapper took a song from DK Country and rapped over it.
Yeah, Eat
And
Your
it
Vegetables by
fucking
Childish
works.
Gambino. It's really good.
And it sounds beautiful.
Cool.
See, but the thing is, Neil, don't get me wrong, I love Donkey Kong Country, like I love the soundtrack, but I don't know, do they have an orchestra that goes around? Because I know Halo does.
No, they definitely don't. It was made.
Yeah.
It was made by like 2 or 3 people, I think. Like,
I think it's like Koji Kondo and some other guy. I can't
yeah,
remember.
it's amazing that 2 or however many people made it. This tiny amount of people that actually did make the soundtrack made it, and it's catchy as fuck. But no, they definitely don't have an orchestra that goes around and play Donkey Kong Country. Although if they did, I would buy tickets to it. No question.
Halo, I have to say, great soundtrack, but I find that it doesn't change much throughout the series. They have their classics, which is nice.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about the series here. I'm specifically talking about Halo Combat Evolved.
No, I know.
Just that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I will say throughout the if we're talking Halo 2 and 3, there is distinct differences. But you always have like you still have the opening suite, which is the opener to the game. I would say that I would say that Donkey Kong Country is more on the organic side, and I would say that The Legend of Zelda is more of the emotional. I'm trying to think of a word for it, but it is riveting. But I find that Halo Combat Evolved, the soundtrack really brings both of those elements and combines them together. The soundtrack alone for Halo sold over 40,000 copies upon release of the game because it was so well received. It's one of the most well received soundtracks of all time. It's if along with not everybody. Okay. A little point against Neil here. If you were to hear Legend of Zelda song, like Song of Storms, or I'm not a big Zelda guy, but I'm just thinking of big named ones. Or if you were to hear Truth and Reconciliation Suite, which is the opening to Halo, you would instantly know what series they are from. Where if, for example, think about it. Anybody who is this is ranging from for maybe a younger demographic. But if you were to hear Aquatic Ambience go on, and there was a bunch of people in the room, a lot of people wouldn't be able to pinpoint, from a large different age range, a lot of people wouldn't be able to pinpoint where the game is from.
I disagree with you on that. I played the fucking the first level music on just on the stereo at the back of work, because we have a stereo, and I had 6 coworkers come up to me and say that is that from Donkey Kong Country? And 3 of them were fucking like 45-year-old butchers.
Yeah,
like
how many of them were under our age though?
1. He's in grade 12, like he's 17.
Well, there you go. Like I think what Andrew's trying to say is that like Halo as well as Legend of Zelda have a larger age range demographic where if I showed a 11-year-old like I don't know, let's just say like Funky Kong's theme or something like that, he would not know what it's from.
No, he wouldn't. But on the same thing, I can't even picture what Halo's like, what the song that Andrew's talking about, the opener is in my head.
Yeah. Just
At the Halo 1 is very popular. I've been thinking of it the whole time. I think I've kind of made my decision, but I'm gonna ask you some questions. Neil, taking your question out of this, which soundtrack do you like more, Legend of Zelda or Halo?
Definitely Zelda, no question about it. I've played the Halo games,
Okay.
and the gameplay did. The thing was, fuck you, I was talking.
Jalen, taking yourself out of the equation, which one would you choose, Donkey Kong Country or Halo?
I like them both for different reasons, but I'd probably go with Donkey Kong Country.
Andrew, taking yourself out of the equation, which one would you choose?
Legend of Zelda.
The track is good, no questions about it. But the gameplay was so spot on that I wasn't even thinking about the music. The thing with Zelda, the gameplay is perfect. Like, it's beautiful, the gameplay's awesome. But the soundtrack is so interesting that when you go to a new area, it's one of the first things you noticed.
See, and another thing I loved about Legend of Zelda, I guess I'm kind of cheating here because like I can kind of spread myself throughout the whole series, but let's just say Ocarina of Time, for example. They kind of set the standards for all of the music going on into Legend of Zelda. Again, like Song of Storms, Zarya's song, Bolero of Fire, this and that. You hear those songs in different ways, different styles, whatever, all throughout the other games. Yeah, especially Twilight Princess. It was a dark turn in the Legend of Zelda series, and they kind of put like a different twist. Like when you go into the Lost Woods in Legend of Zelda, it was a slow kind of take
it's a
on
slower
Zarya's song. It's like da, 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 and it's just kind of in there in the background. They don't make it prominent, but it's there, and you love it. And
okay, one of my favorite moments, actually my favorite moment in gaming of all time, is in the Wind Waker when you're first going up to Dragon Roost Island. Like you're just cruising up to the first island pretty much, and the fucking music hits you. Like, oh Lord, that is a damn good song.
Andrew, any closing thoughts?
You know, I'm gonna have to say that with with Halo, I'll admit both soundtracks have their own elements to them. But the fact that with the Halo soundtrack, you not only have the orchestral side to it, but you also have an electronic side to it. Like if you listen to the soundtrack, it's very it's not digital, but you have a lot of diversity. You have a lot of guitar. You have you have choir. Like there's so much to it that you can listen to any part of the soundtrack and you will find. I guarantee you, for anybody who listens to the soundtrack, if you don't like one song, you will be able to find another one in the soundtrack that you will be able to like.
Okay, I have a question. Since I'm not a fucking expert on the Halo soundtrack, is there any upbeat, happy songs in Halo?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say
Which one?
I wouldn't say there's an upbeat, happy song. However, you have but again, like, why would you have an upbeat, happy song in a game about war? Like, no, but because okay, here's the thing. When you're talking about Legend of Zelda and Donkey Kong Country, you're aiming for more of a children's demographic. Halo wasn't aimed at children, as a lot of kids play it. The game is rated M for mature. Like it's an epic game. Like the music is epic.
I'll defend Andrew on that. I'm going to end this fight right now because I already have a winner.
No,
but I will defend Andrew by saying it is a war game. There's definitely some songs to it that I can think of right now that are they're not happy, but they get me pumped and excited.
I disagree with that though, because Zelda is just as dark, especially in Twilight Princess.
Either way, my decision has been made. Neil, I hate to say, you pulled yourself out right at the beginning by insulting the question. You could have had a fair chance, but by insulting it, I couldn't give you any points there.
What the fuck? That's
Andrew, you were very, 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 very close to convincing me, but Kalen just pulled ahead of it. Kalen's going to win this round. But really, really, really tough. You guys both brought in some fantastic points. I'll give you both kudos for that. You guys fought hard.
Okay.
We'll now move on to the next question, which is the best Pokemon game. I will start with Andrew.
Okay. I'm going to be going with Pokemon Red and Blue because, you know, you can't go wrong with the originals. You got Gen 1. I mean, like, what else is there to say? It's the first game to come out in the series, and it's critically acclaimed to be one of the best games of all time for any handheld. And the game itself just plays super well. You open up to a brand new world. Like it was so different for its time, and it's just on its own plane, because every game after it, doesn't matter what you say, is a copy of Red and Blue.
Oh, I disagree with you, and that's why I'm going next. I am going next. Okay, we're rocking Omega Ruby, which if I had played Ruby, I would say Ruby, but okay. Copy my ass. Here are some of the new things that happened in Gen 3, alright? Completely disconnected region. It's not together like Kanto and Johto are. Hoenn is completely separate. There's 135 new Pokemon. Only 2 of them are related to evolutions. Only 2. So there's 133 completely new Pokemon. There's 103 new moves, alright? 7 new Pokeballs. It's not a copy in any way. There's 2 different teams, 2 different evil, like villains, Team Aqua and Team Magma, which have nothing similar, the same like goal as Team Rocket did. It's no way a copy at all.
I let the debate start. I gotta let Kalen say his. Kalen?
Alright, I'm gonna have to go with Heart Gold, like the second generation remake. The very first Pokemon game I ever played was Pokemon Crystal, and that was just kind of like the third child in the second generation. But I love the remake better just because it had a Pokemon companion, as well as the graphics obviously were better. It was a remake, and it added parts from all the Pokemon games that were out at the time, so you can catch all the legendaries. You can go back and forth between Kanto and Johto, all that good stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Especially the legendary aspect for me, that was today make me think, because you can get like Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, and then you can get Mewtwo if you wanted. You can get Mew, you can get Celebi, you can get.
Are we starting the debate now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the same reason Omega Ruby is so great. They added the National Pokedex, where you can catch literally every single Pokemon from previous generations. That includes Pearl and Diamond. That includes all the legendaries. Okay. Not only that, they added a new weather condition, Hail, where you can build entire teams around Hail. Hail only damages ice types. It damages every other type. You can, there's teams built around one fucking weather I mean, the fact that 135 new Pokemon are added, and only 2 of them are, related by evolution to previous generations, Pokemon for not being creative with their Pokemon, but, I don't know, that looks like the pinnacle of creativity, for me, at least.
Okay, yeah, but all the new Pokemon nowadays are just fucking stupid.
Don't say that.
Okay, no, alright, you know what? No, you can't say that they're
literally
stupid.
A Pokemon made out of an ice cream.
Dude,
Okay, alright, okay.
A sword?
And this is ragging a bit.
A fucking lamp.
Dude, Grimer and Muck, first generation Pokemon. One of them is literally a pile of pollution.
Yeah, and you also have Magneton, which is literally just a magnet. Like, there's nothing beyond that. Like, you can't, I'm not, I'm ragging on the first generation here, but like, you can't say that the Pokemon in the new generation are retarded because there's some pretty ridiculous Pokemon all throughout.
Like Ekans and Arbok. Like, that is the pinnacle of not being creative at all. Literally a cobra and a snake, and their name is Snake and Cobra backwards.
This is true. Now,
Like,
now what I'm going to say here to defend myself is with the thing that separates, and they haven't done it before since. This is going off of something, or this is going off of someone who hasn't played any recent Pokemon games. I haven't played a Pokemon game since I want to say like 2004. So this is gonna correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've seen, Pokemon Red and Blue are the only two Pokemon games that you can go and link up, not do only link cables, but you can actually link up with games beyond Red and Blue. Like, for example, Gold, Silver, and Crystal, you can link those games and play with your friends. There are limitations to it, but the fact that you can still do it is really freaking cool. And there's even a transfer pack that you can use for your N64 to get all your Red and Blue stuff onto your N64 game for Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2. So the game has a lot of diversity in that sense, where you can, where it goes beyond.
no. You can transfer all of your Pokemons from as far back Red all the way up to Omega Ruby.
So if I wanted to, I could transfer my Pokemon from Fire Red to Omega Ruby.
In theory, yes.
Not in theory. In practicality, yes. Would it take a while? Yeah, it would. But you can. If you were stuck on that one Rattata you caught in fucking Red, you could bring that bitch all the way up to Omega Ruby if you wanted to.
You can't put them back. That's the problem.
You can't put them back. It doesn't go away, I don't think.
No. Granted.
So if you trade the Pokemon off your game, it's gone. So you could move it all the way to Omega Ruby. You just couldn't move it back.
Granted. Like, the fact that was a mechanic for Red and Blue, like, being, again, because it doesn't matter what you say, like, even if you're on a completely different island and all that, and the storyline is completely different, the plot line, the way that the game works at the end of the day is all still a copy of Red and Blue.
That's the same for, like, any game, though.
Yeah, but you can say that about, like, fucking Final Fantasy, Fire Emblem, like, at the end of the day, it's just a copy of the original. Like, yeah, of course, that's how it works. That's why the game's so popular.
Caleb, if you could take yourself out of the equation, what game would you pick? Would you pick Fire Red or Omega Ruby?
I've never played Omega Ruby, and it sounds like a blast, but I like Fire Red, so Fire Red.
Andrew, Omega Ruby or Heart Gold?
Being as I'm an original guy, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to go with Gold.
Neil, Fire Red or Heart Gold?
Okay, obviously, I'm gonna go with Fire Red because I played the original like so much on my SP, but I don't think that's not okay. Whatever.
Closing thoughts.
Personally, I'm fine.
Neil, closing thoughts.
I don't know. Actually, Ruby. I mean, Omega Ruby is all of the new stuff they added showed the jump in creativity between third.
Sorry, I turned off my my mic when I was talking. Okay, Heart Gold, or Gold, whichever one, the remake or the original. The great thing about it is that you could play through the Johto storyline, and then you can go into Kanto and basically beat all those gyms as well. So you're basically playing Red, Pokemon Red or Blue.
Okay. While that is cool, there is another mission at the end of Omega Ruby called the Delta mission, where you go and fight Rayquaza and Deoxys, and it's a whole storyline.
There's another one. That's the same thing for Heart Gold and Soul Silver as well. They have one with another storyline with your rival. If you can like catch Celebi or something, you can go into time and you actually find out that your rival is actually the son of Giovanni. Sorry, spoilers.
Okay, let's be honest. That game came out like 10 years ago. If you haven't played it, then there's a problem.
Hey, maybe some people are just like, oh my god, I didn't know that.
The one guy who just never beat it. He just found it today. Just
Well, one of those. It's not part of the main storyline. It's one of those things you have to find and do, which is also cool. And another great game mechanic I thought for that was different things happen on different times of the day. So you can only find Celebi on certain dates throughout the year. So like April 3rd at like 10 p.m. If you go to this place, she should be there, kind of thing.
That happens with Red or Ruby as well.
Yeah, I will admit Ruby's really cool for that mechanic as well. Like it actually follows like the daytime, so like if you're playing at night, your game will be night. Like that's actually really cool. I really like that game mechanic.
All right. Well, I've made my decision. I'll give you all kudos for your answers because I didn't even realize how different your games are. All three of your games bring something very, very unique to the table. Kaylin's with the being able to play all of them, and the companion, Neil's with the 2 separate continents. And I'm going to have to give it at the end of the day to Deutsch, because I am going to side with him in the fact that his is the original. It's the game that started the Pokemon revolution. And the point that actually sold me on Andrew's was that it could hook up to the Nintendo 64 with games like Pokemon Coliseum, whereas today they've kind of abandoned that aspect of it, which it sucks because games like Pokemon Coliseum were very cool, but that is something you could do, so I'm going to give it to Andrew.
Okay.
Cool.
We need like some sort of like cheering sound effect when this happens because it's just so awkward.
Oh, get the camera!
And wins. Silence.
All right.
Now on, when I give a point, we all have to just cheer.
All right, are we talking about racing games now?
Yes. The
All right.
worst Nintendo racing game. We're going to start off with Mr. Bent.
Oh, right. M&M kart racing.
Sorry.
For the Nintendo DS.
Oh shit, I didn't even know that was a game.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the gist of the game was you're an M&M candy, not the rapper. And
That would be a great game.
I think there was like 9 characters or something like that. I don't know. It was basically like all the characters from what's its face, like that you see on like the M&M commercials. You could be like the red one, the yellow one, I don't know, every fucking color M&M there is. Regardless, it's about as good as a game as it sounds.
All right. Who's next?
Andrew.
All right. We're gonna have to go with the original Mario Kart. The reason being is it's basically a seizure, like in a game. I mean, you can't. You know what? It was a good game for its time, but looking back on it, there's just so much wrong with it. Like there's there's a few characters, like it just doesn't hold up. Like it's, there's no. I feel like the game is almost lazy. I really do. And in the level design, like the level design is actually like there. That is the original reason why you have, comments on the box saying, hey, if you have problems with seizures, please do not play this game. Like, this is the reason why. It's because you'd be playing Rainbow Road, and it gives you headaches. Like, the game physically gives you headaches.
All right.
Neil?
Okay.
I'm going to say it right now, Neil. Say what your game is, but
I
don't argue yet.
I am, but I'm going down. I am going first in the argument part.
All right.
Diddy Kong Racing, okay? I don't care how many people like this game. The controls are as tight as a hooker on a Saturday night. They are so fucking loose. The transfer to flying is cool in concept, but the lack of tight controls completely kills how well it could. It's a copy of Mario Kart, but like that's basically every cartoon racing game. You use items to get ahead. Like, I don't know. Its controls are so shit in that game. And now I'm gonna argue Andrew. All right. Mario Kart started the whole cartoon racing game craze, alright? The concept of using items to get ahead of people was in this game, and that is in almost every other game to date. While the graphics were not great, it came out in fucking 92. I wasn't even my dad's balls when this released. like, the game is great. The level design, you can suck a dick. It's not lazy. It's awesome. Each while it's like Donut Plains 1 or whatever, and then Donut Plains 2, it feels like a completely different level. And it is, obviously. This game started the hype about racing games. Like, the only road that's gonna the only course that might give you a seizure is Rainbow Road. None of the other ones cause headaches. Like, this game dropped in 92, dude. That's 3 years before Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, this is true, but okay, so I'm not saying that.
What's lazy about it?
Look, okay, I'm not saying that the game was bad for its time.
What's lazy about it? You called it lazy.
I think you know what? I find that the level design is lacking. Again, the game, like, for its time, I get that there's graphical limitations and things like that, but there's just I feel like that there could have been more with it. Like, I feel like, okay, with designing back then, obviously it was a bit of, with designing products back then, especially video games, there was a bit of a problem. So you did have graphical limitations. However, that shouldn't stop me from getting really, really bored from playing a game. That, and again, I have, stealing your line, the controllers are as tight as a hooker on a Tuesday night.
They are not. Like, the drifts are on point. The controls are not loose in Mario Kart, the original. They are not. The only character that has shitty controls, and that's because he's designed to have shitty controls, is Donkey Kong Jr.
I don't know, I just find that the game does not play very well.
I hate to say you're wrong, but you're
Kalen?
wrong.
Well, I like Mario Kart, so fuck you, Andrew. But I'm gonna have to say, okay, Eminem's kart racing.
It's a wreck. Like, it really. It's just.
It's a fucking money grab. That's all it is.
Okay.
It's gotta be a money grab.
Oh, it obviously, and I quote: GameSpot also awarded the game flat out worst game award in GameSpot's Best of the Worst of 2008. It got a 2 out of 10. The Guinness Book of World Records Gamers Edition in 2011 was awarded the lowest rated kart game, and its nearest rival was Shrek Swamp Kart Speedway. So,
oh god.
Statistically, this is much worse. This isn't really based off opinion, and I can guarantee you these are one of those games, because it came out for the DS and the Wii, right? These are one of those games that you'd be like perusing in Walmart and you see like the dusty discount bin, and it's one of those things where you're like, I feel sorry for the sad soul who got this for his birthday, like, because Lord knows, only your grandma who doesn't know what to give you, like, oh, Susan likes video games and candy. This is perfect. No one's gonna buy it. Nobody wants this game. And to top it off, it's only single player.
No, you can do 2-player with it.
It's only single player.
No, you can do 2-player with it. For the Wii for the Wii store you can.
Well, for the DS, Lord knows.
Well, yeah, obviously it's
obviously it's not gonna be 2-player for the friggin'
You could link up on the DS. There are plenty of 2-player games on the DS.
Oh, I'm sorry, but for the Wii, no, I know for a fact you can do 2-player racing on the Wii.
Gentlemen,
do you have this game?
My answer's pretty clear, but can you, Andrew or Neil, can you state why your game is worse than Eminem Racing?
I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. I can't. I'm sorry.
Okay. The only reason I could say that it's worse than Eminem Racing was because Eminem Racing never had any potential in the first place. Like, it didn't have any potential. Diddy Kong Racing, the potential from going from kart to flying, and like all the different kinds of karts there are, like the potential's there, but the fucking controls are so bad that there is no potential that it kills it. It's awful. It's just I have no idea how tight the controls are in fucking M&M Racing. For all we know, they might be great, but I doubt it.
Any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
No, just give the point to Kalen. Let's go.
No. I'm not taking it that easily. First off, Diddy Kong Racing was a fucking great game. It is rated kids to adults, and it was more so aimed for kids. Personally, when I was a kid, I fucking loved it, specifically because it could transform into a plane and shit like that. And it's like any Nintendo racing game. You get items to get ahead. You said that earlier. Andrew, Mario Kart, the original Mario Kart, granted, it was for the SNES. Nothing was really polished on the SNES.
Donkey Kong
God
Country
damn
was.
it. Well, we're not talking about Donkey Kong Country. Plus, that was later SNES. But god damn it, the fucking original Mario Kart set the tone.
Yeah.
It set the tone for racing games, and then it just kept pumping out Mario Karts, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. If you can say that either one of these games for Nintendo is the worst racing game, you probably have some sort of brain tumor.
All right, give the point to Kalen. Let's go.
Kalen, you absolutely crushed that. I don't think any of those games have ever won a Guinness World Record as the worst game. So, Galen, you get the point. Good job. Woohoo!
Yay!
I'm gonna make this a thing now. Every time I win a point, I want a air horn.
All right, I'm on it.
Good.
Guinness World Record. That's impressive.
There's
that could have been your whole argument right there. Won a Guinness World Record for being a terrible game. Oh, well, there we go, gentlemen.
Lowest rated kart game.
All right. Most anticipated video game of 2015 so far. We're going to start the battle off with Neil.
All right. I'm going with Bloodborne. In case you guys don't know what Bloodborne is, it's the soul successor, or the spiritual successor to the Dark Souls series. It's super hype for me, at least, because everyone felt kind of let down on Dark Souls 2, since the main director, Miyazaki, he actually hardly even worked on Dark Souls 2. He kind of jumped off to work on Bloodborne. And that's why Dark Souls 2 felt so much different than Dark Souls 1. Like, it didn't even feel like a sequel. Like, when you were playing it, really, like, in story-wise it was, but it felt like a new game. And honestly, Dark Souls 2 is great. I put a lot of hours into that game as well. But Bloodborne had a lot of hype, especially from the Souls community, like, immediately when they released it. And every single bit of it has lived up completely to the expectation. It's difficult like a Souls game. It's rewarding. The story is awesome. The combat is probably arguably the best that I out of any of the Souls game, and they are like renowned for their combat system. Like, I mean, that's all I have to say.
Andrew?
I'm gonna have to go with Star Wars Battlefront, which is being developed by Electronic Arts. I'm really looking forward to seeing it on the Frostbite engine. I feel like that's the biggest thing, is that it's going to be this game is going to be beautiful. And following up from having failed sequel after failed sequel with the Battlefront franchise since Battlefront 2, and Battlefront 2 is a fantastic game. The game mechanics are absolutely fantastic. Being a small child, being able to play as a Jedi in that game was just astounding. Like, it beat out anything. And I feel like having the cult following that it does, there's little to no chance that I feel that they're going to mess it up, because it's kind of like the same story with the Star Wars movie. You know, it's not doomed to fail, because realistically you can't get any lower than the prequels. And I feel like with this, it's just, at least we're getting a game. You know, like, and there's so much pump for it, and you know, the fact that there's only been a couple teaser trailers and they're keeping it very hush hush is making it even that much better, because you don't know very much about it. All you know is that it's going. We do have a successor. Like we do know that it's coming, and I feel like that's the biggest thing here.
Galen?
I'm gonna have to go with Batman Arkham Knight. This game, for me, I think is gonna be probably the greatest of the series, and I could be wrong, but I think they're gonna finish it with this one.
That is.
And
It's the last.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the last game, and I feel like they're gonna have a great finish. Honestly, I think it's. I think it might be the first Batman game named after the villain. I'm probably wrong, but Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. Okay.
So.
Arkham Knight is actually like the main villain in this one, and that's something that's really freaking awesome to me. I don't know. It looks sleek. It looks sexy. I've played all the other Arkham games, and based off like the gameplay trailers and things like that, it looks like they're adding a bunch of new mechanics, like the Batmobile and things like that, to just like spice up the actual gameplay. You're actually able to go through all of Gotham now. Well, you could in Arkham.
No, it wasn't It's a huge map in Arkham Knight. It's like 5 times
Yeah.
bigger than Arkham City or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous. Like Arkham Origins.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
It's supposed to be. Isn't it bigger than Arkham Origins?
It is. It is. It's bigger than Arkham Oranges. The problem with that game is that I'm gonna rip on Arkham Knight here for a bit. It looks cool. It's great, but the combat system in the Arkham games has not changed at all. It's the exact same combat system from the original, and while it is a great combat system, there's literally been little to no innovation with this. The thing they might bring in some innovation with Arkham Knight with the Batmobile. Like I know in the trailer you can like throw people into the Batmobile and it'll shoot them. But like the thing about I have a feeling that they're gonna lose focus on the main objective with the bigger map. Like especially from Arkham Asylum to Arkham City, like the huge map in Arkham City kind of took away, like in Arkham Asylum it was great because it was so like to the point. It's like it's a tiny little map. Here's where you could go. Like, and the only way to get new places was by getting new gadgets. But like with Arkham City, and I feel like with Arkham Knight, even exponentially more, being bigger, it's gonna lose focus. Also, the Batmobile, I have some huge problems with. While it's gonna be cool to roll around the city in the Batmobile, the potential for the Batmobile to be like a get out of combat free card, or like just the most OP combat tool, especially on the roads. Like if they make the Batmobile like a there's nothing that's going to make you want to do combat unless you're in the Batmobile. You can just run over people in the Batmobile.
And I'm going to have to agree with Neil on this one, because if, like, think of it as the superpowers mechanic in the Saints Row series. Because, like, there's no point of having a car if you have superpowers, because you can just fly around everywhere, or, like, just, like, jump everywhere. Like,
that's a really good point.
So, like, I'm not saying that the game doesn't, because the game has so much potential, and I am really looking forward to the game. However, that does scare me, because one of the things that I liked about being in Arkham Asylum and Arkham City is that, you know, you're just Batman floating around, you know, like you get a real feel for the city, like you have to roam around and do your own thing like at all times, whereas with this I feel like it's almost a cheat. But we're gonna have to see where they take it, right?
Yeah, like how well it plays out. I mean, okay, Battlefront hopefully turns out great. But like I don't, there's a lot of new games, especially in the recent era. Trailers really don't reflect the gameplay. Like,
oh no, and you know, I totally agree with you. But they did a little bit of a teaser where they showed some gameplay footage. I think there's like 10 minutes of gameplay footage or something like that you can look up if you really want to. And it shows like how the game is going to be playing, where it looks like a pardon me. It looks like a Battlefront game, but polished, and it looks like, and the fact that you can have ground to space battles is going to be amazing. Like, that is just going to blow my mind when that comes. Like, when they announced that, I was like, oh my god, I couldn't think. Like,
I hope that there's potential for that to go really wrong, though, the ground to space. Like, uh, is it being released on next gen, like PS4, Xbox One?
Yeah,
or...
and PC. Those three.
Okay,
Those three.
so
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now that you're gonna need a damn good computer to run that game if you're planning to play on high quality and do space to Earth battles or space to ground battles, especially if it's like a real time transfer. If it's not like a separate battle going on in space where there's like a loading screen in between. If it's like the space battle directly like impacts what happens on the ground as well, you're gonna have damn good computer specs to play that.
That's true.
It's gonna be a huge, like something that big, especially that big of a like battle. You're gonna need a like really damn good computer to play that on Ultra. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you need new graphics cards that aren't even out yet. Like you're gonna have top of the line shit to play it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. Hopefully it lives up to it, but.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, can I hear you give some reasons why Bloodborne isn't going to be good? Because you guys haven't said much about Bloodborne.
No. It's not going to be good. It is good. It's
Well,
already out.
because Bloodborne's already been.
Why it's not good.
Well, Bloodborne's already been released, and to be perfectly frank, granted, okay, so this is coming from a completely biased sense because I don't play the Dark Souls series, but I didn't hear anything about Bloodborne until about a week before its release. I didn't hear too much hype about it. Granted, because I didn't see too much on it. Whereas, for example, with Battlefront and with Arkham Knight, I heard about them right away. Not saying that it didn't get a lot of hype, but I feel like, and I've seen gameplay on it as well. Like the game looks beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful game.
Yeah, no, the game looks awesome. Yeah,
and I mean, arguably one of my favorite parts about the game is just the amount of gore in it is super good. Like there's it's not like Gears of War stuff like that, but like if you hit an enemy with your sword, the blood that comes off you soaks you in blood. Your character gets completely soaked in blood.
yeah, and that's and don't get me wrong, that's good. But I feel like the problem with and this is just like with the Dark Souls series in general. And again, coming from a biased opinion, and this may seem like I'm grasping at straws, but I'm just saying that I have played it in the game, or I haven't played it, sorry, but I've seen gameplay for it, and the game seems hard enough where maybe it's just not I feel like it's one of those games you're just eventually just gonna give up at, or you're just gonna where with Arkham Knight and with Battlefront, granted these games aren't out yet, Bloodborne is, you have more
It's easier.
It's easier. Yeah, but they stream for a larger demographic, whereas I feel like with Bloodborne, there is a very, very small percentage of people who play it. As opposed, granted, this is opposed to Battlefront and Arkham Knight.
I disagree with that. Bloodborne. I'm gonna bring up the sales on Bloodborne.
But you can't compare sales though, because
No, I know, but you're talking about a small demographic that's playing it. So yeah, I can say this is how many people have bought it. This is how many people are playing it.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah. I mean, okay. Obviously, and here's the thing: the already great combat system in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 is completely changed in Bloodborne. There's no parrying anymore. You have to use it. You can use a gun. Instead, the weapons have two different transformations. The weapons literally transform. Like you have a cane that's like a rapier, and it changes from a rapier to a whip. Everything about Bloodborne is really really innovative. Really. Copies did Blood.
Granted, but
I'm gonna have to cancel your sales part because again these other two haven't come out. So
yeah, but no.
I am going to side with you in the fact that Bloodborne is, yes, it's not going to be as big of a demographic, but at the same hand, Bloodborne and Dark Souls, they're thriving for that kind of an audience. So they'll never change that aspect, and they never should, because their game is selling because of how hard it is. So
it's really,
I'm not going to hold that against Neil.
It's not as hard as Andrew is putting up. It's not forgiving. If you fuck up, you fuck up. Think of Battlefront and Arkham. the mother that feeds you out of her breast. And then think of Dark Souls as like the dad who's holding a steak, and he's like, you need to beat the shit out of me to eat.
Yeah.
Like,
But I don't want to get the shit kicked out of me to eat.
Galen, you got anything to say? I noticed these guys have
you
been talking a lot.
fucking get good.
Honestly, not really. Everyone's made pretty good points.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you this, Galen. Taking yourself out of the equation, which game would you choose? Star Wars Battlefront or Bloodborne?
I don't know because like I don't want to try Bloodborne because I'm not really like a not really like a Dark Souls like person because like
Connor,
the games look fun, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I grew up with Battlefront. I'm more hyped for Battlefront, so I'm gonna go with Battlefront.
All right. Well, I think I've kind of already made my decision. Galen, you didn't bring up much to this fight, so I couldn't really help you there. And they also roasted you pretty bad, but they all brought up valid points at the end of the day. Andrew, Neil, you guys are pretty hard on each other, but you defended yourselves really well. However, I gotta give the slight edge to Neil for both raising some really good points on both of your guys' games. And all in all, you guys didn't really bring much to take down Bloodborne. Although I'm not a Bloodborne fan myself, it does sound like the better game. In that case, I'm going to give it to him. Good job, Neil!
Hooray! Boing, 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 boing.
Jump.
Just wait. I'm getting it. I'm getting just wait. Alright.
Andrew, is there any way you could edit that in?
Yes,
no,
I can.
I can. Yeah, he can. Okay. Now we're doing Smash characters, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Who should join Smash?
Yes.
This is going to be our final question worth 1 point. After this, we go to the main event. So, I'm going to start off with who wants to start it off?
Doesn't matter to me.
Andrew.
Let
Andrew.
Let Andrew go with Okay, go for it, buddy.
Andrew, go ahead, start.
Neil's just like sweating his balls over here, thinking that.
I put a lot of time into this, so you better get going.
All right, well, I'm gonna have to go with Tails from the Sonic the Hedgehog series.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic of the Hedgehog variety. Not only is he the sidekick of Sonic, and well, we've obviously seen Sonic in the newest Smash Brothers. You know, his moveset would be, you know, very easy to come up with. It would be all technical. Tails is a very technologically inclined character. He's kind of like the brains of the group. He would definitely introduce a new type of character to the game. I feel like he would be a lighter character. You'd be able to do, you know, his Tails obviously for his up B. You have his you can pull out like his little micros. He has weapons. Like there's tons of stuff that Tails can pull out, and there's tons of possibilities with his moves. And I really feel like he would bring bringing in a partner for Sonic, because you already have so many different characters that are that have like for example Marth, Lucina, from Fire Emblem, Ike, Robin, obviously all the characters from Mario. Like everybody kind of has a give and take person who's similar to them in some way or is related to them in some way, and I feel like Sonic is just kind of on his own, and I really feel like that Tails would bring a kind of like a buddy system in for him, kind of like a Mario and Luigi sort of deal. So
Plus, more hype for the games themselves.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. This Kong has no style. He has no grace. This Kong has a funny face. I'm talking about motherfucking Lanky Kong. Let's roll with Lanky Kong for a bit here. Think about a taller, lighter Donkey Kong semi-clone who focuses mainly on aerial combos similar to Marth. He has a tipper mechanics on his hands, because since his arms can stretch out, and obviously his arms would do slightly less damage and knockback than his hands.
Neil, would he stretch his arms out just for you?
Oh, and he could do a handstand if he wants to.
Okay.
His recovery would be similar to Ivysaur's or Olimar's from Brawl, or a tether grab, if you will, where his arms stretch out and he grabs onto the ledge. Just think, Donkey Kong is already the Donkey Kong series is underrepresented in Smash in the first place. You might say Sonic is more, but Sonic isn't even a Nintendo character. Donkey Kong is a Nintendo character, and it only has two. It has Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. That's it. Those are the only two people from Donkey Kong in Smash, and I mean, and both of them, like Diddy Kong is like ungodly gay in Smash 4.
So what makes you think that that?
Kalen, we gotta start with Kalen.
No. Oh yeah, right.
Before we bring it to the fight, Kalen.
Come on, guys. Honestly, this is gonna be boring, but I'm gonna say bring Ice Climbers back. I miss my Ice Climbers. I don't know, just how they were in Melee and Brawl. Like, come on, like the double person mechanic, like 2-in-1. Sure, Rosaline and Luma are great and whatever, but having Nana or Popo by your side, they added like more of a wallop than what's their face, the little star thing really ever cut pack, the Luma, thank you, really ever packed. So it was like a double hit with every smash, and you're just like, oh, mwah, majestic. Like, you know, like, granted, it's nice that you can control the Luma, but it's great having like a level 5 computer by your side when things are getting hairy and they just kind of do their own thing.
And I will say this, an Ice Climbers amiibo would be amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, juicy.
Let me tear this apart for a second. The reason the Ice Climbers will not do well in Smash 4 is they completely took out chain grabbing. That was the Ice Climbers like mechanic. Their grab game was so good. That is what made them one of the best, if not in Brawl, they're arguably the best character next to that night. In Melee, they were ridiculously good, high top tier. You can't get grabbed. Once you get grabbed, you have to wait 2 seconds before you can get grabbed again. Like, it would totally kill their grab game in Smash 4. Like, it'd be awful. Plus, it's a wasted opportunity bringing back old characters when there's so it's a wasted opportunity to bring back an old character or a clone when you could have, you know, like completely new characters with new mechanics that actually make sense in Smash 4.
Yeah. No, and another thing too with the Ice Climbers is that there was a reason why they didn't make it into the final game, and that was specifically because they didn't meet the requirements of the 3DS and what the 3DS can run, because they didn't want character differences between the 3DS and the Wii U version. And there's in interviews with Masahiro Sakurai and Shigeru Miyamoto, there's a very low chance that they'd actually be able to make it into the game at this point. They have discussed that. Now, in saying that, it'd be really cool to see them back. Don't get me wrong, I would love it, but it's just, judging from the developer's point of view, it's a very low chance that it's going to happen. So, and I feel like Lanky Kong, like, why not bring Dixie Kong in? Why not instead of bringing
You can make that argument about that. Why not bring Knuckles?
Okay, well, you could bring No, you could bring Knuckles, you could bring Shadow, all right. But my argument being is, why not Dixie Kong? Because obviously, like, when you think of the three Kongs, okay, what is the one Kong that you think of after Diddy Kong? Like, obviously, you're gonna think of Dixie Kong. Like, Dixie Kong is she's the next in line, or that, or Cranky Kong. Like, those are the only two that really come to mind. I didn't even know who Lanky Kong was beforehand.
Okay, well, obviously you're not gonna put an old fucking man in Smash. Like, you can't throw Cranky Kong in.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm saying that Dixie Kong would have a bit more of an edge to Lanky Kong. Now with
I completely disagree with you. The Dixie Kong's moveset would be so limited. Like she would be immensely easy to kill based on her size. She'd be light. She'd be floaty. She'd be probably one of the worst characters in the game. Like.
Well, you don't know that they could make her out to be very similar to Diddy Kong in that sense. Like they
can't. He would Diddy Kong is not super floaty. Like Dixie Kong is smaller than Diddy Kong.
No, I know.
Dixie Kong cannot be a hard hitter because by definition hard hitters are heavy. That's how it goes. She would be a fast, light, easy to kill, tiny, like the only thing she would have going for her is something like that Mr. Game & Watch can do, where like if you crouch on Mr. Game & Watch, you're so small that things are hard to hit you. Like that's the only thing going for Dixie Kong over Lanky Kong. Lanky Kong could be like a full sized, like medium weight character who like gets the grab, throws them up into the air, aerial combos them, and then like lands, re-grabs, throw them back in the air. Like,
Granted, these are all speculations you're making because you can't say that because like, you can't say what the developers are going to do with the character.
No, but that's what makes sense for the character. It wouldn't make sense for Dixie Kong to be a giant, hard-hitting Ganondorf clone.
Oh, obviously not. No, I'm not saying that, but
that's so yeah, it does make sense. It's speculation, sure, but it's reasonable speculation.
So it'd be a reasonable speculation with Tails. Because
I'm not saying not.
Because Tails has equal amount of potential. Sorry, if not more than Lanky Kong. Because Tails is by far a more known character. He's Sonic's sidekick. Like I'm not saying that that Knuckles wouldn't be a good fit. But if you're gonna have the most popular character to sit alongside Sonic, a lone character in a huge franchise, it would be Tails. And Tails would not be limited by his moveset.
Okay, but do you think they would rather put in a Nintendo character or a Sega character?
Yeah, but which one's more practical for the game, though? Which one is which one would bring more sales to the table? That's the question.
Definitely a Nintendo character.
But Lanky Kong though, Lanky Kong as opposed to Tails, because
dude,
personally,
no, it doesn't work.
Personally, if I saw Tails go up for sale, I know quite a few people would be like, "Hey, that's awesome." If Lanky Kong went up for sale, just from personal, know-how, there would be less people who'd be excited for Lanky Kong. As a matter of fact, there'd be some people who wouldn't even know who Lanky Kong is.
Okay, well, anyone who has heard the DK rap knows who Lanky Kong is, and anyone who's played Donkey Kong knows who Lanky Kong is. Lanky Kong has appeared in pretty much every Kong game past 64. Like I would argue that people know Lanky Kong.
Do you have anything to add?
Dixie Kong, man. It's the same argument for Dixie Kong.
Galen, do you have anything to add?
Kalen, would you rather see Lanky Kong or Tails?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they both bring like good stuff to the table, but I don't know. I think Lanky Kong, it being of like a Nintendo character, as well as there's a lot more Smash mechanic that you could really add to that, to that character. I'd honestly rather see Lanky Kong, though. Tails would be fun. I could totally see his moveset.
It'd be cool, but I mean,
yeah. I could see Lanky Kong being a really cheap character, though.
Well, obviously they would like keep him in check with the rest.
Yeah,
So
they'd have to
Caleb,
nerf him.
Andrew and Neil here have both given creative answers, and you're stuck with the Ice Climbers. Why do you think your character deserves to come back versus these two or any character being created? Why should your character come back?
Why should Ice Climbers come back?
Versus making a brand new character.
Okay. Well, let's just say that it was possible for the Ice Climbers to come back on both platforms, like 3DS and Wii U. I think it's just a classic that everyone just wants to see come back, and you can't say that's not true because people have already voiced their opinions on it. Can they at this point? No. But,
Okay, I'm gonna argue with Kalen on this one. Let's look at the clones that got cut. Wolf. No one fucking cares about Wolf. Lucas. No one fucking cares about Lucas. Sorry, Andrew. No one fucking cares about Roy either. Lucina's already in the game, and she's just a better version of Roy. If anything, if they brought Roy back, there would be two exact Marth clones. Like,
yeah.
Like, who else got cut? Fucking,
Pichu?
Okay, but fuck Pichu, really.
Nobody liked Pichu in the
Yeah, no one liked Pichu. there's already a huge amount of Pokemon in Smash.
And Mewtwo, and granted he's coming back.
Yeah, but he is coming back.
So is
And so is Lucas, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they're clones. Like it's not like it takes a lot of effort to throw a clone in.
Yeah,
right?
but I feel like with Lanky Kong though, he would be a bit of a Donkey Kong clone.
No, he would at best be considered a semi-clone. Like, dude, his moveset doesn't make sense to have the same moveset as Donkey Kong.
Yeah, true. But the thing about Ice Climbers is there's nobody really in the game like Ice Climbers,
That's
apart
true.
from Rosalina and Lucina. I mean, oh my god, Rosalina and Luma, sorry. But, like, granted, it's even then, it's a semi-clone. Like, the only similarity is that there's 2 characters on the board now, except for one. And even so, they have completely different playing styles when they're on there. Like, Ice Climbers is kind of unique from beginning to end. And it's nice to have on there.
Yeah.
And that's something I could see Lanky Kong having. But I could also see Tails being a clone of, like, say, Mega Man and kind of Duck Hunt put together. Kind of like something like that. I couldn't really see him. I could see him being more of a Duck Hunt clone. Honestly.
How would he be Duck
Like, if
Hunt
he had the
clone?
same uppy.
Because he would be entirely
Yeah.
gadget. He would be a totally gadget character.
Yeah, so like Duck Hunt, projectile zoning, of setting up traps on the stage.
Pretty much. His up B would be the exact same. I promise you that if they were to add it.
Yeah, no, his uppy would be the same as Duck Hunt Dogs. I understand that.
I don't know. I could just see him being a lot like Mega Man and Duck Hunt put together, just using projectiles and floating around the stage and this and that. Personally, I don't know. I could see Knuckles making more sense, honestly.
Andrew, taking yourself out of the equation, which character would you choose? Would you choose Lanky Kong or Ice Climbers?
Well, Lanky Kong, because it's more practical, because I'm not adding Ice Climbers anytime soon.
Neil, which one would you add, Tails or Ice Climbers?
Ice Climbers. No question.
Kalen,
Lanky Kong.
all right, closing arguments, gentlemen.
I like Ice Climbers. They're cool.
I think Tails is nice.
Neil?
Just, I don't have a closing argument.
Very, very close. Y'all gave actually very, very, very good points. However, I think, Kalen, the only reason you were close, Kalen, to winning this point, however, you kind of stayed silent at the beginning. And during that time, Neil racked up some very, very good points. Granted, you pulled yourself up near the end, Kalen, but I'm going to have to give this point to Neil.
Oh!
Cool.
All right, gentlemen, so before we begin the main event, I'm just going to say right now what the point standings are right now.
Oh, this is going to be sad for Andrew.
In last place is Andrew right now with 1 point.
Sad.
And then tied for first is Kalen with 3 points and Neil with 3. Now, granted, our very last
Baby.
question here is worth 3 points. So, Andrew, you could pull off the victory here.
This question wins.
Whoever, this question is
Yeah.
going to declare the winner.
Oh, mama.
So,
Oh, baby. I'm
the
ready.
question, what is the greatest video game developer of all time? We're going to start this off with Mr. Bent. I mean,
Oh,
Kalen.
baby. Okay, so, I'm going with Capcom. Now, I choose Capcom because if anyone chooses Nintendo, that's probably really cliche, and you could probably just go ham on that for years and years, and whatever. Anyways, Capcom, that baby made Mega Man. That baby made Street Fighter. You know his baby's got Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, Ace Attorney, and Monster Hunter. Sweet baby Jesus. Those are all games that could get any 20-year-old male wet. And so it is a game that keeps pumping sequel after sequel for each single one of those. Mega Man, I can't even count how many Mega Mans there are. There's over 7 for the original
Galen,
series.
you've already disgusted us enough, so I'm gonna move us on to Andrew.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna be going with Square Enix here. Now, the reason why I'm going with Square Enix is because it's the company has released some of the biggest names in video gaming, past and present. Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, Tomb Raider, Hitman, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, and Thief. Recently, they picked up another series called Gex. But like, I'm playing off Kalen's card here. Like, this will get any man over 20 hard. Like, you have 10 Dragon Quest games alone. You have 15 Kingdom Hearts. The 15th is 15 Final Fantasies. The 15th is coming out this year. You have Kingdom Hearts, which they're rebooting, so the third one's coming out. Not to mention the other games that they've released for it. Hitman is a massive series. Like, Hitman's been, flooring the gaming market since PlayStation 2. Like, they have so much coming out, and the company has not stopped once.
Neil,
All right.
Please do not refer to the male genitalia in any way.
All right, let's take a trip back in time to the golden era of gaming, where gaming was at its best. We're talking about motherfucking Rareware. The scope of perfect games they put out on all different genres is ridiculous. Let's talk about platformers. We're talking about Donkey Kong Country. We're talking about Donkey Kong 64. We're talking about Banjo-Kazooie. We're talking about Conker's Bad Fur Day. These platformers are so different in so many different ways, and all of them are very, very good. Let's talk about shooters. GoldenEye 007, arguably one of the best games for the N64, as well as the entire Perfect Dark series. Both made by Rareware. Adventure games, Battletoads, Star Fox Adventures. Like, fighting game, they even made a fighting game in Killer Instincts, and they made Diddy Kong Racing as well. As much as I hate that game, it is still I hate to say it, a pretty solid racing game. Like, these guys pumped out some of the best games to date in their respective genres.
Juicy.
All right, gentlemen, go hard on each other.
Gross.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
okay,
that phrasing.
Capcom. Okay. These bad mofos. Okay, I'm gonna go off where what I was saying before. I can't even count how many Mega Mans there are. They pretty much paved the trail with like fighting games with Street Fighter. Devil May Cry, probably one of the greatest selling games like ever. Plus, it had remakes, like 3 remakes. Just, I don't know, a reboot, I guess you'd want to call it. Regardless, it was all awesome. Street Fighter, it's had crossovers. Mega Man's in Smash Brothers. Street Fighter versus Tekken. Capcom versus Marvel. That had 4? Is the 4 now? For Capcom versus Marvel?
They're coming out with the 4th.
They're coming out with the 4th. So those were probably one of the greatest fighting games.
Again,
at least of my childhood.
Capcom versus Marvel. Is Mega Man in that?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I think he
Yes.
is. I think he is.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. Mega Man versus Spider-Man. Like, who's gonna win, guys?
Right? And like you could be the Hulk versus oh my god, I'm completely
Attorney at Law?
actually I think he's gonna be in the new one. No, yeah, Marvel vs. No, he's in the 3rd one. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because that was the latest one.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right.
Where are all these characters?
All right,
Anyway, so
now, shut the fuck up.
why you gotta be so rude?
No, you could be Zero from Mega Man. Zero, man.
Let's talk about the
That's ridiculous.
beginning of multiplayer shooters. Rareware made that. The huge FPS multiplayer genre that COD, Battlefield, fucking Titanfall, all that shit that is producing every game a year started with Rareware. They made that. That is Rareware's doing. Holy shit, alright? Banjo-Kazooie, the best, arguably, the best platformer that's based on collectibles, like, pretty much to date, right? Like, obviously Donkey Kong Country is a fucking masterpiece. Donkey Kong 64 is beautiful. Battletoads, do I even have to say anything about fucking Battletoads? Like, everyone knows Battletoads. Holy shit. Battletoads is unbeatable. Like, legitimately.
What's Battletoads?
It's unbeatable. It's actually unbeatable. They also made Kinect Sports, which, I mean, hey, it's sold. A lot of people bought that game. Right?
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah, no, you're right.
Kinect Sports Rivals, Wizards and Warriors. I've never They made Star Fox Adventures, which I heard it was not great, but I also heard that it's pretty good. I've never played it. They made Donkey Kong Land for the Game Boy. They also produced on Game Boy Donkey Kong Land, and they also made the critically acclaimed Viva Pinata series. But let's not talk about that. I honestly don't know how bad those games are, how good they are.
They're awful. No, Viva Pinata games are awful.
Step in for a second.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just gonna say, Rareware, they are great developers, whatever. Back in the day,
But they's done.
90% of the stuff that Rare has put out has been total garbage.
That's because they
And
got
Viva Pin-
soft.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that
That
happened.
Okay, but
and even then, okay, no, I'm gonna back Kalen up on this. When we're okay, no,
Andrew speaking.
think about this. So on Kalen's front, you have Marvel vs. Capcom. You have you have all these different games that are all fantastic. They're all critically acclaimed, as well as Square Enix. Not a single one of Square Enix, not a single one of Square Enix's titles are not critically acclaimed in some way, shape, or form. Whereas with Rareware, you have up until I want to say 1998, and then you got a bunch of bullshit from then on out. Like, it's just...
Dude, the new... Okay, I'm gonna call you on that point right now. The new Thief was not good at all. A lot of people hated it. It was not a very good game. So no, it's...
I'm gonna
So you
side
can't
with
say all
Neil
of
on
them.
this. Every company has their bad
that
games.
game.
However,
Yes.
The point you can argue is whether or not they've only done bad games recently, whether they're M. Night Shyamalaning or not.
Okay, well, let's look back in time to the golden age of video games.
Okay, alright, okay, let's look back at the golden age of video games, where you literally have Dragon Quest, the original Dragon Quest and original Final Fantasy, both by Square Enix, coming out with the goddamn genre for RPGs for freaking video games. That's what you got.
Two. So you have two.
Yeah, two. Plus,
you-
not to mention the different take that the Kingdom Hearts series had.
Andrew, how many copies does Call of Duty sell every year?
Oh, I don't even
How
know.
many copies does Battlefield sell every year?
Tons.
That genre would not be around if it wasn't for Rareware.
Yeah, and it's okay, World of Warcraft, the biggest MMORPG out there, would not be around without Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
How?
Okay, no, it created the RPG game.
Okay, so how did it create an MMO?
Well, oh no, I'm just talking about the RPG in its own.
So it has
So
nothing to do with that.
EverQuest was based.
Yeah, so
wouldn't have
EverQuest. Yeah, EverQuest wouldn't have happened without Final Fantasy. Is what you're saying? Because World of Warcraft came off EverQuest.
Well, no, I'm talking about the genre itself. Like, the genre itself blew up because of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest.
Those aren't MMOs, dude.
No, I'm talking about RPGs here. I'm talking specifically about RPGs.
I know, and I'm a huge Warcraft player, so that's why I'm asking. You're saying EverQuest is a role-playing game, but it brought to the table the MMORPG.
Yes.
Are you saying that EverQuest, the role-playing aspect, they got off of your games?
The role-playing aspect was originally developed by, if not originally perfected by, Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. They were those were the two first games that really brought out playing.
What about what are they? What's it called?
Uh,
Let me find it. Keep talking.
But
What year did they come out, Andrew?
1986 and 1987.
Okay. Alright, I'll have to stand.
They came out a good almost 30 years ago. Dragon Quest has been around for a very long time, and the quality for the games has not come short. They are all absolutely fantastic. Not to mention the different take that Kingdom Hearts brought to the table. Like, Kingdom Hearts is a damn fine game, and Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 were...
No, but I'm gonna rip on Kingdom Hearts here. As much as I love that game, the majority of that sales come from the fact that it's a giant Disney clusterfuck. You can play as all the characters. Play as fucking Mickey Mouse. Like, fuck, you could have all these different characters from Disney on your thing. That's its main selling point. The gameplay's okay. It's not like 10 out of 10 gameplay by any means, but its main selling point is the fact that there's so many Disney characters.
Well, not to mention the fact that the game itself has a very riveting story. Like, it is absolutely fantastic.
Well,
Plus you also have the Tomb Raider franchise, which the Tomb Raider franchise is, you know...
There's a couple bad Tomb Raider games.
No, I'm not saying that every Tomb Raider game is amazing. All right, I will admit there's a couple Tomb Raider games that have come out that are absolute crap. That being said,
Rareware literally ran the Golden Age, pretty much, give or take. Like, Rareware threw out.
Yeah, you got something to say?
I was gonna say, like, Rareware, like, yeah, sure, they definitely, like, paved some trails, but I wouldn't say they ran it. They're probably, like, co-ran it. Like,
yeah,
like,
they're...
Like, okay, I just want to throw in what you were saying before, like, each, what's his face, developer has, like, their foot in, like, each single genre, but I'd like to say Capcom is probably the same, as well as they have their own genres. Like, Phoenix Wright and Ace Attorney, you're literally debating, and it's one of, like, the biggest selling games, like, multi-millions selling franchise for its own thing. You literally, like, you investigate and debate in a courtroom. And, like, what? Like, that's something like that's, for the most part, completely unheard of in video games anyways. Resident Evil, one of, like, the biggest shooter zombie games, like, to ever be a thing. Devil May Cry. Like,
I will say, though, that there are a couple bad Resident Evil games. I'm not saying that's not great.
Oh, well, of course, but like you said before, every developer has their bad games.
True.
Like, Monster Hunter, like, you hunt monsters. That's what you do. You make things, like weapons, armor, potions, stuff like that. And the third one just came out, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think it just came. The fourth one, maybe.
Or is it the fourth one? It was one of those. Regardless, I know people were going ham all about it, like Zach, who I know he loves Monster Hunter, and honestly, I personally hadn't heard of it until that point, but, like, there are millions, well, maybe not millions, hundreds of thousands of people online all the time, like a Wii or Wii U network now, like, just playing Monster Hunter and, like, getting stuff like that, things like that, and that's just something that most game developers don't have. They don't have that kind of thing. Mega Man, it was a fresh side scroller that everybody loves, and they're still making more to this day that have tons of different universes and tons of different ways to play, like Mega Man X. That's not even a side scroller. You go around and it's like Final Fantasy. Like, you have a battle, you take a turn, and you move around the board, this and that. Street Fighter, it's just one of those fighting games that, like, it's up there with the greatest, like Mortal Kombat, Tekken.
I would debatably say that that Street Fighter 2 is better than any Mortal Kombat game, but continue.
I would say Street Fighter 2 is probably the best fighting game.
Andrew,
ever,
why is Street Fighter?
One of the best.
Why is Street Fighter better than Mortal Kombat?
Well, the fighting mechanic. Hey, I'm not defending Kalen. I ain't defending his points. You got Kalen to defend that.
I personally think that Smash is better than any of those games at all.
But
because
you can't really compare those two games, though.
Yeah, it's like comparing apples to oranges, or pears,
they're
or pears
fighting
to pears to apples, if
sorry,
you would.
Andrew, you guys didn't invent Street Fighter. That was Kalen's one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind. I thought Street Fighter was your game. That's why I was asking that question.
No.
Right.
Smash. Okay, what do you mean you can't compare them? They're both fighting games.
Yeah, but they're both completely different styles of fighting games. They're both completely different platforms. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat are comparable because you have like combos like up down X to do like a Hadouken or like a teleport as Scorpion or something. Whereas Smash Brothers, it's down A like your side smashes.
Yeah, exactly.
Special.
It's a completely different game. They're both fighting games, but that's like comparing Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm to Smash. You just can't. You just can't compare the two.
Yeah,
they
you
just
don't
don't
have
work.
health bars in Smash. It's not like I'm trying to knock a Ryu off the map. I'm trying to beat the shit out of him until he can't fight anymore.
That's why Smash is so much better.
Well, we're not comparing.
We're not comparing.
Okay, I know.
The game developers. Kalen, let me ask you this. Take away yourself out of the equation, which one would you choose? Square Enix or Rareware?
Rare.
Andrew, taking yourself out of the equation, Capcom or Rareware?
Oh, Capcom.
Neil, taking yourself out of the equation, Square Enix or Capcom?
Neither. I have no. Don't say I have to pick them because I have played virtually none of either of them. I don't like Mega Man. I don't like Street Fighter. I don't like Tomb Raider. I don't like Resident Evil. I don't like Devil May Cry. I don't like a lot of their games.
You've
Why?
probably played a Capcom versus Namco or a Capcom Namco game at some point because trust me, Neil, there are plenty, and I hate fucking.
I know. Okay, I'm looking through their game list right now.
That's another fighting game. Capcom versus Namco.
Sure, I've played.
So many cross.
Sure, I've played some of them. But I don't like them. I really don't like fucking basically any of them. Actually, like I don't like Mega Man. I don't like Final Fantasy. I don't like Tomb Raider. I don't like Hitman. I don't like Sleeping Dogs. I don't like Deus Ex. The only game I'll give Square Enix for is Kingdom Hearts. That's the only game from their lineup that I've played and enjoyed. It makes sense for me to say neither.
Well, I'm pretty sure I've got my decision made. However, I'm going to give you guys your final closing statements. Again, this could decide the winner, so please do your best to convince me.
Alright. Well...
Neil?
Okay, well... my closing statement's the exact same as my argument. Rareware's lineup is so fucking good. Like, DK Country, Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie's Conker's Bad Fur Day, GoldenEye Perfect Dark. Like... Diddy Kong Racing, like, you love that game, I know you do. Fucking, like, they have some of the best games that really paved the way for the gaming industry. Especially when a time when people weren't really playing games. Like, they made the FPS multiplayer genre a thing. Like, I don't know, man. Rareware has a stellar lineup of video games, and if you want to play, you can pretty much pick almost any Rareware game from that time period, and it's like a top 10 game.
Andrew?
I'm just gonna end with Square Enix has been around for over 30 years, and they have, they're still in the market. They're still doing a fantastic job. Again, like the new Final Fantasy game looks absolutely fantastic. The fact that they're pumping out a new Kingdom Hearts is absolutely great. Tomb Raider's still strong. Hitman is bigger than ever. They're even coming up with a Hitman movie. Deus Ex just announced a new sequel. Thief, I will admit, has fallen, but I feel like that doesn't compare to what they're still bringing to the table, and the fact that they're still doing so well for themselves. Whereas, for example, Rareware ended up, dying. Well, they're not dead, but they're bottom of the barrel at this point. And Capcom is up there, but I feel like that the quality of their games, especially with the newest Devil May Cry, there are some big name titles. There's some AAA titles that they've been coming out with. This even goes for the new Capcom versus Marvel. I'm really, really worried for it. Marvel versus Capcom 3 wasn't the best. Like, it was good, but it wasn't the best. Like, whereas with Square Enix, you have continuous growth and you have continuous, improvements in each and every game. Aside from, a Tomb Raider, and a Thief out of 30 years of being a company. Like, they have really brought a lot to the table.
Caleb?
Okay, I'm gonna have to say I feel like Capcom is like one of the biggest like video game developers, specifically because like they do great on their own, but they also have done so many collaborations with other companies, like probably more so than anybody else, I'd like to say. There's Capcom Namco, there's Capcom and Nintendo. Capcom versus Marvel, they're not even like a gaming company. They're just like, hey, Stan Lee, you know, you want to make a fighting game? And he's like, Excelsior! So you're just like, okay, let's fucking do it, you know? Like, I think that in itself is probably one of the coolest things that any video game franchise could really do, where they just like cross things over, kind of like Soul Calibur. Sorry, they made Devil May Cry, Dead Rising, Dead or Alive, which were all great games that I didn't say on my list earlier. Oh my god, I don't know. It's just the classic to the very end. You can't really, I don't know. You can't disclaim Capcom. Capcom's motherfucking Capcom, and they've made their place in the world of gaming. You know, I guess out of all that,
Okay.
they had a part in God of War.
And I just want to...
God of War, Capcom was all up in that bitch.
I just want to say one last thing for Square Enix. Not only have they been giving multiple Best Developer awards for multiple different consoles, they've also been given by the Better Business Bureau since July of 2007. They have been an A+ company in the world. Like, they're one of the best companies in the world, not just in gaming, but just in general.
Okay. Before I give my answer, let me say this whole thing, this entire debate has been, like, not just this question, all the questions in general, have been very, very hard. You guys have done a fantastic job at defending your points. People who I thought were going to crush the competition, it's been very balanced between all of you guys. This debate especially is very, 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 very close. Neil, the only reason you won't get this one is the big point that both of them pointed out was that, yes, the Rareware games are fantastic. All of you guys have great games. However, Rareware's done fuck all since their golden age. Their golden age has ended, whereas Capcom and Square Enix, they're still going.
They've been in like an yeah, okay, whatever.
And the point that just scraped by is, I hate to say it, 'cause once I say it, the winner is very clear then. The point, the one thing that's very interesting about games is when you be able to say, wow, what if these guys fought these guys? How cool that would be. Yeah! And then it happens. And that's where I gotta give it to Capcom, because they're able to go, hey, Marvel, what if our games fought each other? That would be awesome. And they're willing to go the distance and work with other companies in ways that other companies may not be as used to. So I'm going to have to give it to Capcom. So, at the end of the day, last place, sorry to say, it's you, Andrew, with 1 point. Second place is Neil. And our winner today of our first ever Gamer Brawl, Kalen. Woo!
Whoop whoop.
You bet your sweet booty.
Bring Kalen in.
Guys, this was shocking how hard it was. You guys all brought it to the table. There was both fights were very interesting. This last one was very, very hard. Thank you guys so much for what you guys have done. Thank you anyone who's been watching. Make sure to tune in on April 26th for our next episode. Some of the questions from that one will be the best open world game. If any racing game were to be a real life event, what would it be? And what do we think about amiibos? So all those questions are going to be in the next Gamer Brawl on April 26th. Not to mention Neil and Andrew will be back for those ones. And along with a new competitor of ours, our good friend Michael. Gentlemen, thank you very much. This was fantastic. You guys all did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. You guys have a good night.